Now available in paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's aspiring angel takes on a social justice, social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Cancel Vacation in paperback and e-readers today. There was chaos in the streets of Union Square when thousands of teenagers descended on Union Square Park for a meetup with Twitch streamer Kai Cenat, who had promised to give teenagers in the area who were going to come to the meetup opportunities to get PS5 video game systems and gift cards.
Huge crowds descended on Union Square Park today for an appearance by a popular internet streamer. Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois. Thousands of people inundated the area, creating chaos and clogging the streets. We've just learned over the past half hour that 65 people have been arrested, 30 of them juveniles. CBS 2's Alice Gaynor live at Union Square now with the very latest. She's been there all day today. Alice.
Maurice, the Department of Sanitation has been out here for hours cleaning up the mess left behind by thousands of people. Behind me, a construction site that was torn apart by the teens and young adults who showed up here today. You can see contractors here repairing the fencing that was torn down. There's even paint that was thrown on top of the canopy. Around 1:30 this afternoon, a crowd started forming in Union Square after social media influencer Kai Cenat posted about a gaming system giveaway there. By 3 p.m., the NYPD says thousands had arrived. Then, chaos.
And once the people for the giveaway started coming out, that's when things started to get out of control. So people started pushing and stuff.
They climbed to the tops of the subway station structures, up statues, traffic and lampposts, jumped on the tops of cars. A construction site in the park was damaged, and people weaponized items from that site like paint cans, bottles, axes, and shovels.
Most of it was within the park. The young people in the park throwing objects at each other. They were dancing. They were doing a whole lot of things, but they were hurting each other as they were doing this.
They were lighting fireworks and flash bombs. The NYPD moved in surrounding the park, and Cenat was eventually taken out and taken in for questioning.
She's going to be charged with at least 2 counts of inciting a riot, unlawful assembly, and a few other charges.
Cenat did not have a permit.
This was not pre-planned with the police department. This was something that was spontaneous. It shouldn't power social media, the danger of social media. Listen, we're not against young people having a good time. We're not against young people gathering. But it can't be to this level where it's dangerous. A lot of people got hurt today.
It took hours to get the crowd out of Union Square. Now the hours-long cleanup is underway. And once again, you're looking at the construction site that was damaged by those teens and young adults. Some paint was thrown. You can see white paint on the canopy. Behind me, there's blue paint on the ground here. Contractors working to make these repairs right now. The Guardian Angels are also here patrolling the park. A lot of the park is closed, but a lot of it is reopened at this hour. Live in Union Square. Send it back to you, Maurice.
Okay, Alice, thank you. And we brought you this story. It was breaking on the air and online this afternoon. Stay with CBS 2 as we bring you the very latest updates, and you can find them at cbsnewyork.com.
Now, as the thousands of teenagers descended into Union Square Park to have their meetup with Twitch streamer Kai Cenat, many of the teenagers started to become unruly as they waited to get many of the prizes that Kai Cenat planned to give them. Now, as these teenagers started to wait for their prizes, they started to become more and more unruly by going out here and allegedly lighting firecrackers, exploding flash bombs, and some even were going over to a nearby construction site by the entrance of the Union Square station that had been closed for repairs, and they went to that construction site and then began breaking through the fence, taking items such as bricks and paint, and began throwing these items, and some even were seen climbing up on cars and stomping on cars, and others were also seen up on lampposts. And this whole situation, even before Kai Cenat arrived, was turning into a riot, and law enforcement had to come to disperse this riot because things had gotten so out of control. Now, as Kai Cenat came to the Union Square area, police had to confront him and escort him out of the area as they looked to try to disperse the riot that was going on and restore order. Now, the police are seeing the riot that ensued in Union Square as an isolated incident, but when I take a critical look at what transpired in Union Square, it definitely fits the pattern and profile of behavior I've talked about in multiple videos as related to the children of the corn. And the coordinator of this entire incident, Kai Cenat, his behavior basically fits the pattern and profile for beta males that I talk about in my book, The Man Crisis. And the whole situation that took place in Union Square was basically like the blind leading the blind, and they basically took New York City into a ditch as related to the dysfunctional behavior that all of these teenagers wound up participating in. Now, the main reason why there was a riot in Union Square was because Kai Cenat acted impulsively on his emotions and made an announcement on social media that he would be giving out PlayStation 5s and gift cards in Union Square. Now, Kai Cenat basically is one of these social media influencers who is all about getting attention for himself and looking to try to influence the behavior of people without ever thinking critically about his actions. Now, as a person who has a social media presence myself, I always think about what Uncle Ben Parker told Peter Parker: with great power comes great responsibility, and I understand that I have to be responsible with whatever content I put on the air on places like YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and even when I used to put content on BitChute and places like Facebook and Twitter. So I understand that with my web presence, I have to be very conscientious about the content I put on platforms. However, guys like Kai Cenat are so addicted to the attention that they're getting and so caught up in their feelings about trying to get likes and views that they're not understanding how their behavior can influence others to behave in irresponsible, reckless, and egregious ways. Now, Kai Cenat basically shows me that all he was thinking about was getting likes and views on social media when he announced this stunt. And when he announced this stunt, he basically showed me that he had very little common sense. Moreover, he didn't really have much business sense, because anybody who is doing a giveaway understands that a giveaway needs to be done under the auspices of a business. And I've seen many YouTubers like the Goon Squad brothers and Casey's Customs. They do giveaways of cars that they have repaired, and when they do their giveaways, they do them in a structured and coordinated fashion through a business entity. Now, the reason why they do their giveaways through business entities is because they understand that these items that they're giving away have a value as related to taxes, one, and two, they also understand that there's a liability as related to these cars that they're giving away. And because they understand that there's a tax issue and a liability issue, they go out here and use a business institution to go out here and give away whatever items they're offering up in a sweepstakes. And that structure allows them to go out here and be able to give away that item there in a safe fashion. And that's something Kai Cenat really wasn't thinking about critically when he offered this giveaway based on his emotions as related to getting attention. No, Kai Cenat really wasn't thinking about doing business as related to this giveaway, which you have to go out here and coordinate with entities like New York City, because if you go out here and want to host a meet and greet to do a giveaway, you first need to get a permit, and you need to get a permit to get permission from the city to use their public space. for whatever event you want to host. That's the first thing a man would do, is say, okay, I want to do an event, and if I want to do an event, I need to set up a safe venue, and I need to set up a safe venue so that when I'm giving away these items, everybody can receive these items in a safe fashion. And after I get the permits to do this event, I also need to coordinate with organizations like the NYPD or a private security service to make sure that people are safe and I am safe as well. Because if you're giving away expensive items, you want to do it in a fashion where people will not get targeted for violence, or you won't get set up for a robbery. And that's why you want to make sure you get your permits in place so that the venue could be secured. But Kai Cenat really wasn't thinking about that because he was a beta male, and because he was a beta male, he was just acting on his emotions impulsively, thinking about getting all the likes and views as related to possibly streaming this giveaway, and not thinking about coordinating a structure for this giveaway where the people who would receive these winnings would be safe. Now, the other part of this whole situation with this giveaway is that Kai Cenat never really established a structure for who was going to receive these items. I mean, yes, he was holding up a stack of gift cards in a video, but he never established a structure to see who would go out here and be able to win these gift cards. He was just going to be handing out gift cards. And again, making that offer in and of itself, as I see it, was the spark that basically incited the riot that took place in Union Square on Friday. Because what happened was, when Kai Cenat came on that live stream and he went out here and made those statements, he was basically lighting a fire, because all of his followers, and he possibly had millions of followers, they thought they were all going to get a chance to get a free PlayStation 5. They thought they were going to get a chance at some free gift cards, and all of these kids who were easily influenced by this social media influencer started to act on their emotions and wanted to run down there like a herd to that event that Kai Cenat had just thrown together based on his feelings. And this was, again, the spark of a riot, because you had people who had been incensed by this giveaway, a giveaway that any critical thinker could sit there and say, and look at it and say, this is too good to be true, because you have a guy who says he's, again, coming down to Union Square and looking to go out here and give you something for free. And we know, if you've ever been and deal with contests, again, there's paperwork that has to be dealt with as related to these contests, because the contest coordinators want to make sure that their tax records are taken care of, and they also want to make sure that everybody is safe as they're getting their items. I mean, this is how people who do giveaways operate, but Kai Cenat wasn't thinking about operating things in a business manner. No, what he was thinking about was looking to go out here and clout chase, and he was looking to go out here and clout chase in an unethical fashion, because he was not looking out for the health, the safety of any of his followers. And that really shows me how dangerous the situation he was coordinating was. And what was dangerous was he really, again, was not really critically thinking about how he was putting people's lives at risk. No, all he was thinking about was, oh, I'm going to be so cool. I'm going to be seen by all of my people. I'm going to be down here with all of my people. And again, that just shows you how this social media influencer, while he had great power, did not really understand how to use his power and his influence in a responsible manner. And because he didn't use his power and his influence in a responsible manner, this is what led to the riot that took place in Union Square. This whole riot took place because this man, while he had great power and influence, really wasn't taking responsibility for his actions and didn't understand that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction. And when you make emotional statements, what happens is people will react to them emotionally and impulsively, especially if these are a whole bunch of young teenagers who really don't know much about life. And if they don't know much about life, they're thinking, oh, he's going to give me something for free, when nothing in life is free. And if there is something free, it's definitely just not worth it. And it just wasn't worth going down to Union Square, where over 60 kids were basically arrested. A lot of kids got hurt. I mean, that was all due to the fact that you have a beta male who put attention over people's safety. And when I look at this whole situation again, it just shows me how dangerous these social media influencers are. Now, what really exacerbated this situation is that this Kai Cenat basically was looking to influence the children of the corn and influence their behavior to get himself attention, and did not understand the fire he was playing with. Now, what happened with all of those teenagers is no different than what I've seen happen in other cities like Chicago and Philadelphia, where we've seen these large mobs of children go down to places like a Wawa in Philadelphia that they vandalized, or go to downtown Chicago where mobs of children just showed up. And all of these children basically were showing up to these areas because they really did not have a good family structure, and because these kids didn't have a good family structure, they were looking to go out here and follow the lead of whoever. And that's where guys like Kai Cenat come into the picture, because the main reason why over 2,000 teenagers came down to Union Square is because of the complete collapse of the American family. Because with the complete collapse of the American family, many kids don't have anybody to give them guidance, and because they don't have anyone to give them guidance, what is happening is that these kids are basically looking to follow the leader of whoever is out there. And the first leaders that many kids have been exposed for the last 20 years has been the people that they see on their smartphones or see on social media. And because the first person they have seen is someone on social media, they look to follow that person's lead, similar to what happened with many of us Gen Xers who were latchkey kids. I mean, many of us kids who were latchkey, we would go out here and sit, and after we came to school, to watch shows like G.I. Joe and Transformers and Voltron and He-Man, and we would watch those shows and get the moral influence of those characters. But what's happening with our kids is they're not really getting that type of moral guidance. No, what's happening is that they are being led by a bunch of Pied Pipers on social media. And as they're led by these Pied Pipers on social media, they have more influence over kids than their parents. And because they have so much influence, they can go out here and persuade children to go out here and act impulsively. Now, I use the word children because most of the people in that crowd were under 18, and anyone under 18 is a child, and children are easily influenced by people they see on social media. And like their Gen X parents, many of the kids, they basically learn to trust these individuals on social media because they see people like a Kai Cenat as a friend, and they see a person like a Kai Cenat as somebody safe they can trust. And what happens is, if that individual tells them something, they trust that individual more than they would trust their own parents, because they spend more time with these individuals on their live streams. They spend more time watching their videos, and they believe that if this person is in their screen, this person is somebody they can trust, and they believe that they can trust this person, and that's what motivates them to go down to a place like Union Square, because they don't have any adults in their lives to give them any sort of guidance, and because there's no parents there to give them any sort of guidance in some cases. I mean, I've listened to Ringo talk on his live about his daughter being down there, and again, the social media has, again, a strong influence on kids, even with parents. But if there's a parent there to talk to them, they can let them know that, everything you see on social media, you really can't take too seriously. I mean, as a longtime TV viewer, I learned to take everything on social media with a grain of salt as I'm watching other content creators. And I've also learned that as a social media guy on YouTube, I also, again, have to be responsible in my messaging, and I also have to be very responsible in my actions. I have to look out for my viewers the same way I would look out for people in family. And again, I have to be very careful about what I put out here, but there are some like Kai Cenat who don't have that set of ethics, and guys like Kai Cenat, because they don't have that set of ethics, what they will do is look to pull one of these stunts, not ever considering the safety of many of their viewers, because what he did was extremely dangerous and extremely unethical. I mean, people got in their feelings about getting these PS5s, and he wasn't thinking about how this could, again, impact other people and impact the safety of other people. No, it was just all about him getting that clout and chasing that clout. And when I look at Kai Cenat's actions, it really shows me the dark side of social media and the dark side of social media influencers. Because when I look at Kai Cenat's behavior and I look at the behavior of other social people on social media like Young Rippa 59 and the late Kevin Samuels, they're not really thinking critically about their actions. A lot of these guys, all they're thinking about is the rhetoric that they're making and getting more likes and more views, never really thinking critically about how their actions impact others. And again, I look at this whole situation and it shows the dark side of the influence of social media influencers, the dark side of how the behavior of social media influencers can influence the behavior of people. And it's really scary to think that an individual like this could have that much control over someone. That is the scariest part about this whole situation. I mean, a guy like a Kai Cenat can actually just go out here and say, oh, I'm giving out PS5s, and people will just go out here and act impulsively and run out here to go down to a place like Union Square and think that there's a possibility that they would get this PS5. That's the scariest part for me, because even when I was a teenager, I would look at that whole situation and say, hey, this is just too good to be true. And as a young adult, I would look at it and say, hey, this is too good to be true. Nobody's just going to come down and just give everybody a PS5 or some gift cards. That's just not possible. And the whole situation, it's just scary to me, because it shows how much influence a social media influencer has on people. It just shows that a lot of young people are not taught to be able to think for themselves. And it really shows me that a lot of young people really are not really being taught to think. Again, they're just acting on their feelings, because that's what Children of the Corn do. And again, Children of the Corn act on their feelings because their parents really have not been there to teach them. They really haven't been there to give them guidance. They haven't been there to give them structure. They haven't been there to give them order. And what's really scary is that kids get influenced by these kids. Kids like the ones in Ringo's family, they get influenced by these kids to think, oh, I'm going to go down there. And again, this is the type of thing that is very dangerous about these influencers. And again, people, they think that, oh, the influencer is somebody who's looking to help me, but the whole thing is the influencer. This was all about him getting attention and clout, and he basically put people's, again, lives at risk. And again, what Kai Cenat did was, again, unethical in inciting that riot, because he did incite a riot when he went out here and made that statement. He incited a riot because you have him telling people, oh, you can go out and get this PS5. And as those people came down to that area, you had not only people who were his fans, you also had a lot of predators coming down there looking to cause trouble. And this created a riot situation, a riot that Kai Cenat was rightly charged for. But what is troubling to me is that Kai Cenat only got a desk appearance ticket. No, all he got was a desk appearance ticket for this. And all that's going to do is encourage a Kai Cenat to go out here and incite another riot once more, because he's going to get next to no penalties for participating in criminal behavior that basically led to kids getting injured and kids getting arrested. He is somebody who, again, it shows me that he really is, again, really green about business, of going out here and doing business. And he also shows me that he's somebody who really does not really understand the consequences of his actions, and he also doesn't understand what it meant as related to what Ben Parker told Peter Parker in Amazing Fantasy 15 when he said, with great power comes great responsibility. Because as somebody on social media, I understand that I need to be very responsible about the content I produce, because I see how many of the videos I make influence the behavior of young brothers out here and young sisters, and that's why I try to keep most of my content positive. I know that the content I produce has an impact on people, and from what I've heard from a lot of brothers and sisters is that the content I produce transforms and changes lives, and it has helped a lot of young brothers and sisters get their lives in order. And that's the reason why I try to stay responsible. The reason why I try to make my content positive is because I understand that my content is influencing the behavior of people, and I want to influence people to go out here and be responsible in their actions and do things that help improve the quality of their lives. That's what I want to do with my content. But there are content creators like a Kai Cenat out here. They're not really thinking about anything because they're just caught up in their feelings about getting these likes and getting these views. It's all about them getting all of their attention. It's all about them getting this clout with people. That's what Kai Cenat was about with his Rolls Royce and his bling and his everything. Again, he has a bunch of flash, but he doesn't have any substance of character, and that's how he could orchestrate a stunt that would put many of his viewers and his followers' lives in jeopardy, and also put people who were police officers' lives at risk. And again, this guy just again shows me how he just doesn't really understand anything about business, and he just is out here looking to put on a show, not understanding that if you want to go out here and do something like a giveaway, you need to get your business in order, and you need to have your business in order when you do a giveaway where you're coordinated to take care of business. That's what you need to have when you're going out here doing things. And again, when I look at the overall big picture as related to Kai Cenat, it definitely shows me that Kai Cenat is a man in crisis who was misleading these children of the corn. And this is the scary scenario about social media. You've got many of these men in crisis who are blind, leading these children of the corn who have grown up like stalks. And as they lead these children of the corn who have grown up like stalks, they are taking people into a ditch. And that's what we saw happen to all of those teenagers. It was like the blind leading the blind, and they all fell into a ditch. And they fell into a ditch because they were misled by someone who was not fit to lead. And that's what happened with this whole situation as related to that riot in Union Square. This is what happens when you have a beta male acting on his emotions impulsively in an effort to get attention. And what he does is go out here and incite the children of the corn. And again, this leads to the children of the corn, again, wilding out in the street. And they wild out in the street because they don't get any leadership from people who know better. And that's what really happened right down here in Union Square. Now, this was an area I used to go to when I was a kid to go get my comic books from Forbidden Planet. I know that area very well. I know it was a very nice area. But these individuals, these children of the corn, they basically tore that area apart and they wreaked havoc. But when they wreaked havoc, it just showed us the dangers of the influence of social media influencers who are unethical, and showed us how dangerous these individuals can be because they're not thinking responsibly about how their behavior influences people and how they motivate people to take crazy action, because these people really don't have any sort of sense of structure or any sort of order. They don't have any understanding of what structure and order are. And whenever you get individuals like this, they create chaos. And they create chaos because these individuals, again, don't know how to be a man. And because this guy Kai Cenat didn't know how to be a man, he created a crisis in Union Square. Now, if you want to pick up some of my positive black fiction on the SJS Direct imprint, like the ISIS series, the Esteem series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Spinsterella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to learn more about what leads to boys acting in a dysfunctional fashion like Kai Cenat, you can pick up my book, The Man Crisis. And if you want to learn more about what leads to children becoming children of the corn, you can pick up my books, The Man Crisis and The Woman Crisis, on Amazon.com as well. And if you want to learn how people get influenced by the internet and the commentary I make on it, you can pick up my book, Esteem Cancel Vacation, which is all about how the internet can influence people to act dysfunctionally. And if you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available in paperback and e-readers, John Haynes, 1987. Learn lessons about life and teenage love in the 1980s in this coming-of-age John Haynes story. Get your copy of John Haynes 1987 in paperback and e-readers at Amazon.com and online booksellers everywhere. Now available in paperback and e-readers from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual